mentioned, we will cover a lot of the legal stuff, which might be boring for you. So I'll try not to bore you to death today. And as you all know, well, we'll be talking about the first pioneers of regulated crypto business. So I want to talk especially about the crypto asset service providers, because the transitional period is about to end, and a lot of the providers already received their licenses, and there were many lessons learned throughout the journey, and we'll talk about it today. So for those who do not know me or our law firm, we are FinRec Partners. We're based out of Prague, and we specialize in fintech, financial innovation, capital markets, mergers and acquisitions, and especially the licensing procedures before the Czech National Bank, which is the local regulator. So let's jump straight in. The amount of applications that were received by the competent authorities in the European Union, there was a huge number. And most notably in the Czech Republic, a lot of the foreign providers seek this jurisdiction, and the Czech National Bank, they received 258 applications for the grandfathering period, and so far they've only granted 6 of them, which is a very low acceptance rate. And my personal opinion is that before the transitional period will end, we will see maybe 8 to 10 applicants in total. So the standard is very high, and it is very hard to meet all the requirements of the regulators. So what is the main reason why the applicants are failing? In a lot of the time, it is pretty straightforward. So for example, there is this thing called jurisdiction hopping, which is basically a phenomenon where the company will seek a jurisdiction based on several factors. So the likelihood that they will get a license, the cost, and then they will decide in what country in the European Union they will apply in, which the MiCA regulation is pretty strict about it, and the regulators are also very strict about it. So it is very important to prove your local presence, your reasoning why you want to apply in the country that you're applying in, which is very hard. So, for example, if we're talking about the board members, the highest ranking officers, the majority of them have to be local inside of the relevant country. They either have to be residents or they have to have some kind of connection to the country. So the less of a formal connection you have to the country, the more you have to prove to the regulator that you actually want to do business in that country, you actually want to target the clients inside of the country, and you want to do marketing there. And all your relevant personnel, especially the AML personnel, the compliance personnel, they know the local legal landscape, and they know all the specifics inside of that jurisdiction. So they have to prove to the regulator that they not only know the European background, the European directives and regulations, but they also know the local specifics. So that is one big part and one big problem that the foreign applicants are facing. On another note, there's also a lot of applicants that will fail due to their internal procedures, because a lot of the applicants, they just wanted to try it out. They opened up an AI chatbot, it spat out some internal documents, and they were very, very general. And if you actually tried to conduct the business based on the processes inside of the internal documents, you couldn't do anything. And that is what the regulator will tell you. So you can probably start with some general documentation, but you need specialized help. You need consultants, you need lawyers, because you don't really stand a chance if you don't have anyone by your side who actually A, knows the regulation itself, but B, also knows the licensing procedure. They know the the mood of the regulator. They know the specific requirement that the regulator is placing on the applicants, because these specific requirements are not really based in the regulations, but are more based on the background of the regulator and their own opinions. So you have to get specialized help to actually get all the documents in order to be able to actually conduct business. So these were the two main, I'd say, areas where a lot of the applicants failed, and they did not even pass the first stage, which is the completeness of your application, where the regulator will tell you, okay, you submitted everything that you had to submit. Now we're going to take a look at the very specific procedures that you're implying. Another problem were audited financial statements. So if you are a company and you're trying to apply for a MiCA license, and your company was functioning the year before, the regulator will require you to provide audited financial statements. So a lot of the applicants, they decided to go another way, which is creating a new company and then applying for the new company, which may be also a problem, because if you want to reorganize, and if you want to actually fund or transfer some cash from the old company into the new company, the regulator will also tell you, okay, how do we know that the money is actually legit? You need to provide us with the ultimate source of the money. So creating a new entity may not always be the solution, because you always have to prove the ultimate source of the funds that you were granted. So that can be a problem as well. A lot of the crypto companies throughout Europe, they face a certain problem with banks refusing to open corporate accounts and safeguarding accounts. This problem was supposed to be mitigated by many attempts to amend local laws to require the banks to actually give you or open the account unless there is I'd say a reasonable thing why they shouldn't open the account. And every time they were trying to deny opening the account, they have to report it to the local regulator. But it didn't help. So the banks were other way, and what they did was they would gradually wear you down, asking more questions, requiring more documents until you gave up. So they didn't technically deny you the account, but they just wore you down until you gave up. And one way to mitigate this problem can be to actually be patient. And a lot of the banks, they will require certain amendments to your AML policies. But what they also require is the anti-bribery and corruption policy, which is a policy that is not mandated by MiCA. So technically, you don't really need to have it to pass the licensing procedure. But if you'd like to open a bank account, they will most likely ask you for it. So it is important to be prepared, to be patient, and to not give up. We'll see how that will go. Another very important topic is the AML specifics and the travel rule regulation. For the crypto, it is very different. Your AML procedures are very different from other financial institutions, and the regulators are very careful about your AML processes and how you're going to conduct them. So your AML policies, they have to be very specific. You have to have a step-by-step process on the whole life cycle of, for example, the identification of the client. If you're transferring crypto, you have to identify the counterparty as well. You have to make sure that the transaction is legit. You have to make sure that the source wallet is legit. And all of these procedures are very strictly limited to how you describe them. And it is very important to actually know how you're going to do these processes and what tools you're going to be using. So for example, there's a lot of automated tools, for example, ThumbsUp or others, that will help you with that process. And there's another point, which is the travel rule regulation, which mandates that when you're transferring crypto, along with the transfer, you have to transfer data as well that are identifying the counterparties. So not only you have to have a process on how you're going to transfer the data, but if you're receiving crypto as well, you have to have processes to ensure that the person you're receiving the crypto from actually provides you with the data that you need, which can be technologically challenging as well. And then there's DORA, which is the, I'd say, cybersecurity and very IT-specific regulation. And for example, in the Czech Republic, the DORA regulation and your IT procedures are roughly 60% of the whole application. And the regulators are very strict about this. For example, you have to have skilled staff. So you have to appoint your cybersecurity officer. You have to appoint your IT, I'd say, maintenance guy who does and who runs all the processes on a day-to-day basis. You have to provide their knowledge to the regulators so they can check that they're sufficient for their tasks. And the crypto asset service providers were kind of unlucky because the transitional period, it began on the end of July, and the DORA regulation went into force at the beginning of the year. So a lot of the skilled staff, they kind of disappeared from the market because a lot of the financial institutions, they wanted to comply with DORA, so they hired all of the talent, and there was no one left for the crypto asset service providers, which may be a problem. So if you're thinking about applying, I'd say that compliance with the DORA regulation and all of the processes is, I think, the most essential part of the proceedings. If you don't have a good technical background, you most likely will not pass. And if you do not have skilled staff, you will most not likely pass. And then we also have regulatory changes, because the licensing procedure, it can take 8, 10, 12 months at most. And during that time, the regulation may change, especially the opinions on the regulation from ESMA, from EBA, and also from local regulators. And they will ask you for it. So, for example, lately, there has been a change in interests on fiat currency that you're holding for a client. So if you have a safeguarding account and you're holding client funds and you're making an interest on it, you are now not allowed to actually pocket the interest, but you have to give the interest to the client themselves. So you have to set up processes to actually give back the interest as well. And on another note, for example, the PSD2 regulation, the payment regulation. Once you are a crypto asset service provider and you'd like to provide your services with EMTs as well, you have to have a double license, because any transfers of EMTs or custody of EMTs is considered a PSD relevant event. So you have to have 2 licenses, which is the first time ever that this happened, that a single business model actually requires 2 licenses. We'll see how that will pan out, and we'll see the future. So you have to really keep in mind the regulatory changes, and you have to be able to actually comply with them in time, because once the regulator asks you for more information. You have at most 20 business days to comply, to come up with an answer, which may be a short time. So you have to be very, very rigorously prepared for that. So how do you avoid the future compliance headache? How do you actually get prepared for your regulated business? So firstly, I would recommend that the processes that you're describing during the licensing procedure, that you're actually able to maintain them, that they're actually sustainable. So when the regulator asks you for specific information, when they ask you to modify a process, sure, you will comply with the request, but what next? You got the license, and now you cannot really comply with all the requirements that you've set out for yourself. So the most recommendable thing is to actually it's very self-explanatory, but promise only something that you can actually do or be prepared to do. And what is, I'd say, the best practice is when you're going through the licensing procedure, you build a roadmap of implementation. So what you're going to implement and when, in what order. And once you get the license, I'd say the most prioritized area should be your relationship with customers. So all the client-facing documents, all the interfaces, because that's the first thing that the regulator will actually look at, because they're publicly available, right? Second is AML processes. And if you're providing custody, all of the custody proceedings, all of your wallet management, all of your custody management, and all of these processes. And then there's DORA and all of the other processes. So that is actually the I'd say the best course of action that you should take, and that it works. So yeah, I think that's it from my side. It was a very short presentation, but I hope it would be useful to you. So I'll be here if you can talk, if you'd like to talk. And now we have some time for some questions from the audience. So if any of you have a question, then I'll answer it.
No questions?
Hi, Antonin here. It concerns a real story. Bybit.
Sorry?
Bybit. They make a license in Austria.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is going on in following months? Because it's really happening now, so how to avoid for other entities? Thanks.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that it depends on the jurisdiction. If you are granted a license, the regulator will actually kind of know your business model. They will know your weaknesses, and they will actually keep track of all the necessary changes that you have to implement after being granted the license. So if there's a lot of shortcomings, you were probably the first one on the list. They will get an audit from your regulator. So it's very hard to tell what will happen, but we'll see once the situation kind of calms itself down. It's very hard to tell. Thank you.